Richard Branson is one of the world's most celebrated entrepreneurs, living the dream, from the outside at least. Happiness, a loving family, success, Caribbean island, more money than most of us could imagine. But he's also now increasingly focusing his attention on philanthropy. And Richard Branson is my guest on The Global Conversation. Many thanks for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.
It seems now that philanthropy is becoming more and more the responsibility of the wealthy. They're taking that responsibility on board. Is that something you're seeing?
So it should be. I mean, I think, you know, if you're successful in life, enormous wealth can go with that success. If you have enormous wealth, then enormous responsibility goes with it too. And it's that responsibility to use your entrepreneurial skills to get out into the world to solve some of the problems of the world, and also to use your financial strength to get out in the world and solve some of the problems of the world.
Is it a new trend though? Well, not a new trend, but is it a trend? We're seeing more of it now.
I think it is a trend. I think it's a positive trend, I think what capitalism is something which seems to be the only system that works. I mean, capitalism is wonderful in that you have young people, they come up with an idea to make a difference in other people's lives, and they go with their idea, and if they're successful, their idea grows and they make some money. But it's up to those people then to use that money to give it back to society in one form or another.
We received a message on Facebook from one of our viewers to ask you, and this is from Thomas Huygen, and he says, being on the one extreme of global inequality, what do you make of the criticism that it's unjust for the 85 wealthiest people on the planet, and I suppose you are towards that side, to have as much wealth as the poorest 3.5 billion people?
I just came from a lunch with Bill Gates, who is perhaps the wealthiest man in the world, and 60 other business leaders who are very successful, who have all agreed to give the majority of their wealth away, either whilst they're alive or when they die, and not just to leave it to future generations. And I think that's the right thing to do. The good thing about these people is they're also entrepreneurially minded, so they can also see problems in the world which can be tackled using their entrepreneurial skills and their money.
Because you've also pledged to give up half of your fortune, haven't you, as part of this pledge?
At least half, yeah. I think entrepreneurs can see problems perhaps slightly differently than some other people, and often they can get problems. I mean, let's say last month the president that Uganda passed a law to say that a very anti-human rights law saying that gay people would be put in prison for life. If you didn't report a gay person, you'd be put in prison for life. Incredibly dangerous, homophobic, horrible law. We got together a group of business people who could talk to the president, and the president, changed his mind and vetoed the law. So I think that business people have quite a lot of clout in the world, and if we use our clout positively, we can change the world for the better.
Yeah, because you're involved in so many different issues. You mentioned gay rights, but there's also gender equality, there's climate change, there's conflict resolution. You don't seem to get overwhelmed by it, though. You seem to feel, I get the impression you really do think we can resolve this. You're saying one problem at a time in some respects.
I just got off the phone before I came in here with an organisation called the Elders that we set up, which Kofi Annan is the chairman of, and just said, Ukraine, look, 3 people got killed on the streets. We ought to consider whether a group like the Elders could go into Ukraine and see if they can help resolve a conflict before it becomes like a Syrian situation with hundreds of thousands of people being killed. And often, conflicts, it's right at the very beginning of conflicts that, if you move quickly enough, if you can, get the leader of the opposition and the leader of the country together, and say, for the sake of your country, I mean, please, compromise, and don't let this, go into a Syrian situation. You can resolve that conflict. And the elders, for instance, did that in Kenya when Kenya was falling apart a few years ago, and they managed to get that resolved. I think if you're in a position to make a difference, you've got to try to make a difference.